Here we go. Hi, everybody. This is so exciting. I'm always a little bit like, is this working? But it is the live stream, and we are here to talk about the new live action Mulan, kind of share our thoughts. And I guess this will be spoilery but it's a remake, so how can you spoil a remake? But nevertheless, if you don't want to know anything about it, then don't watch this live stream because we're going to talk all about it. And we might be joined by Kristen Maldonado coming up. We're not sure what's going on there, but I am film critic Rachel Wagner. I'm here, and Stanford is here.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, how are you doing?
Hey, doing great.
Good.
I'm glad we could chat about Mulan. I've been dying to talk to you about it.
I know. I've been very curious because we just a couple of weeks ago did our episode of Talking Disney on the animated Mulan, and I think we both felt like it held up quite well.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. I loved watching it again, and it's really, I just think, a terrific film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess we should say for the record what our overall sort of feeling is on these live action remakes for the most part. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite of all of them?
No. I mean, the thing that's so infuriating to me is that they're typically very well made. You know, they throw a lot. Disney throws a lot of money at these. Good talent and, high production values. I just am so frustrated that they make them.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that being said, I mean, some of them I thought have been pretty good. I thought that the Jungle Book was good. I thought Cinderella was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Mulan was good. So I'm excited. Again, we'll be going there. Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, Mary Poppins Returns is my favorite. I mean, it's not technically a remake; it's a sequel, but I just loved it. I loved all the songs, and I loved all the casting, and I thought that it was like enough of a different story, but still felt like at home in Mary Poppins. Because in the case of that, you have the father who is so it was worrying so much about his family. So it's almost the reverse of what you have in the original, where he is he doesn't really care. Absentee. So I thought it was a different enough of a take, but it's still in that same sort of heart and feel.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I thought it was great. I also loved Pete's Dragon. Those definitely be my top two. I thought that it was. I think Pete's Dragon is the only one that's actually better than the original, because the original, the humor is not my favorite, and so I think that taking a little bit more of a deeper look into it, and I'm just amazed that David Lowery pulled that movie off. That he was able to make that movie that way for Disney.
I am too. I can't believe that the thing even got made.
Yeah,
because I agree with you. It's a very good film. Yeah. And so like wow.
Mm-hmm. I love the. I mean, it really has sort of a Black Stallion kind of feel to it. I think. Your classic family sort of dramas going to it, and so that one's my second favorite. I like Jungle Book. I think they there's things that I don't think worked about it. I don't think the music really worked, and I don't really like their take on Louis, because I feel like we already have a mean, fierce villain in that story, whereas in the animated film, he's more like slick and cool, and that kind of thing. We already have Shere Khan. We don't need him to be mean. We don't need Louis to also be mean. So I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, and I was so puzzled by just the sheer size of Louis.
Yeah, that was strange.
Just the scale of it seemed really strange. It I could never make it work with my brain.
But I think that the way they treated Mowgli was better. And I think they made him have more agency. He was a more interesting character, I think, than in the animated film.
It was very interesting. I thought they did, Mowgli well.
Mm-hmm. And I like the ending a lot better because I'm not that big a fan of the ending in the animated film. Right. So that was an improvement. And I do love Cinderella as well. I think Cinderella is a different one because I don't think I'm so tied to the Disney film of Cinderella. There's so many different versions that I love of that story.
Many, right. This is just another one of the many,
Yeah.
And I think that's why it worked for me too, because it didn't feel like it was kind of desecrating, the original anyway, because it's just, it's just Cinderella.
Because you have like a Slipper in the Rose and Ever After and the Glass Slipper. And I mean, just every couple of years we have some kind of take on Cinderella. And so I was, I think, more amenable to that one. So anyway, those are probably my favorite of these remakes. But for the most part, they've been a very frustrating experience. And I think for me, what is so frustrating is just that the sort of inherent assumption that often goes along with it, and sometimes it's not, sometimes it's blatant on the part of Disney, that it's somehow making into live action is an upgrade over the animation, and that hurts my heart.
That makes me so sad. And and frankly, I just would wish, I would rather than have to just re-release the animated film on the big screen, than have to go sit through this live action stuff. I mean, don't even get me started on the Beauty and the Beast live action CGI mess and The Lion King. I mean, those two
were rough.
Were terrible for me. And so going into Mulan, I was just like, well, I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, I think that Alice in Wonderland is still Alice in Wonderland is one of my least favorites, and I really hated Maleficent. But yeah, I don't know.
It's talked about Maleficent too, and that horrible marketing campaign.
Yes,
I'm still mad about. I mean, I believe forgiveness is a virtue, but still, it's like, really, learn the real story,
I know. Please. And the way that they just ruined the fairies, and they made them like total jokes. And I know they're comic relief in the original, but come on, there's they actually problem solve in the original, and
they cause problems, but they save the day too,
Yeah, and they managed to keep Aurora hidden for many years, and in Maleficent, she finds out where they are from literally as they're leaving to go there, and like her becoming this parental figure for Aurora is just so ridiculous. It makes no sense. And so anyway, it's just frustrating, and especially in Beauty and the Beast, when they had that promo marketing where it said even better than the original in bold things, that just made my heart hurt.
It just hurts my heart too. Hurts my heart.
And I would be willing to put up with Beauty and the Beast, I think, a little bit more, even though all the changes they made me crazy. But if I would be willing to put up with it more if they had gotten good singers. I'll never understand that in a million years. The singing was so bad.
It's so frustrating.
Like, what were they thinking? And I mean, if you're going to have not good singers, at least let them have their normal voice. Having them sounding all like they were all digitized, was bizarre.
Auto-tuned, within an inch of their lives is just,
it's bizarre. It's bizarre. Painful. We have Wimpy Studio is is here, and he says, "Hey guys, I'm so excited to be on the podcast with you, and that's coming up. We're going to record on Tuesday, so I'm not sure when it's going to air on the channel, but he's a patron of ours and of the channel, and so we are going to be talking Ratatouille on Tuesday, so that's going to be super fun.
Excited.
Yes. And me and Ryan, my friend Ryan Cam, we were on Micah's channel to give our best and worst of the live action remakes. I'm not sure when he's going to air that, but anyway, that's coming. So, so if any of you have comments about Mulan or the live remakes, then put them in the comments section or the chat room, live chat room going on. So, all right. Well, let's talk about this Mulan. I think it's sort of a weird thing with me because if you'd asked me in March, I would have said I'm not looking forward to this and I don't think it looks good at all. And then it got delayed and it got delayed. And I don't know, it's some kind of survivors thing going on that is like, oh well, maybe this is actually good, and because it just keeps getting delayed, and it's almost like, well, no, any movie is better than no movies, and so I began to get kind of more excited about it, and by the time it's like, well, should we pay $30 for it? And I was able to get it and watch it. And I felt really disappointed, which I might not have felt if I had seen it in March because I wasn't expecting anything in March. So, but I don't know. I was pretty proud of my review for Rotoscopers. I said Mulan super chi or super lame. I was pretty proud of that title. I just felt like they took the heart and soul out of this movie. And especially the main problem I had was instead of her having sort of an arc of going from this ordinary girl who makes this decision to save her father and over time becomes this warrior that could save China, they decide from the get-go to make her this super powered character. And I know they were trying to tap into sort of wuxia and that whole style of martial arts storytelling, but I feel like even in those stories there's a little bit more to them, or at least in those movies the action is more interesting than it is here. So something like, say, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which is not my favorite. I don't love it as much as most people, but nevertheless, like the action and the spectacle are more special. It may not have the greatest story in the world, but the action is more special than what we get here. And so I don't know. I mean, I thought that was a huge mistake. And just every sort of moment that gives her character in the original film, they got rid of. Like, so they don't have the reflection song, of course. They're not doing songs. Makes sense. But they don't replace it with a similar scene with her coming to sort of terms with who she is and trying to figure out, or they don't have a similar I want moment in this movie. And I thought that I'm glad that they got Chinese actors to be playing these roles, but I thought that the character of the actress portraying Mulan was very wooden and not good. And I don't know if it's just a language barrier or something like that, but I did not think she was very good, a very good actress. And so that's a problem. And I don't know. It was just kind of a slog to me. It was very disappointing. But how did you, I know you said you liked it. How did you feel about it?
Well, thanks for sharing, your views. And I knew that this, how you it felt about it, based on
yeah.
But I was surprised that I enjoyed it because, again, as we've already discussed, my attitude toward these live action films is typically pretty negative. And I try to go in with an open mind, but it's hard because I've just got the world's largest chip on my shoulder about movies that are even being made. And I'm with you about the delay because I was planning to see it, back in March, and then between Mulan and Tenet, they've been like the movie fans' hope
Yeah.
back into the movie theater, you know, and it was just like, you know, and I think you and I talked about this too, but it was just like, okay, as soon as Tenet and then Mulan are in the movie theater, life's gonna be better, you know. Anyway, like, you know, it's gonna be like a sign that we're at a certain part through our whole pandemic journey, and so there was that going on. I thought Disney made an interesting move by putting it. And I know maybe we can talk about this in a bit, but putting it on Disney Plus. But anyway, so and then I just decided, even though $30 is steep, I was going to be the designated Mulan house for my family.
Yeah.
My family come over, watch it, and you know, and then it'd be okay. So that being said, I was just surprised how much I enjoyed it. I think what I liked about it, I mean, okay, let's see if I could. I don't want to just like drone on and on and on, but
no, you're fine.
I liked how they made it into a martial arts film, and I wondered about that. I mean, you kind of got a glimpse in the preview, and then the way that the people that they cast in it, you know, I thought Donnie Yen was a really cool choice. Jet Li. Jason Scott Lee. You know, I thought that those were cool choices. And so that part was really fun for me, because I kind of expected it, but then when they went there, I thought, oh yeah, you know, awesome. And that they decided to really make it a different kind of retelling of Mulan. I liked that too, because it became, in a way, in my mind, its own thing. Even though it's a remake of a film that I really love, it became something different. Because again, that's one of the things that really ticks me off about Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King in particular. Is that
this is by no means as bad as those films. I mean, I think that at least they tried to do something different than that. And I mean, I would say it's in the middle as far as my live action rankings.
Yeah.
I'd probably put it somewhere around Christopher Robin for me.
Okay.
Where I felt like that one missed as far as tone and story. Whereas, but it had some nice things about it as far as spectacle and visual effects and things like that. So I'd probably put it kind of in there in that middle period, middle grouping.
Yeah, no, I hear you. One of the things I totally agree with you on Mulan's character arc, because I thought that was a real weak point, because she was just like steady the whole time. And that I thought it was cool that she had this chi power or whatever, you know, you want whatever the proper name for it is, but it's almost like it didn't get explored enough, and she didn't really come into her own. I didn't think. I'm glad that they didn't. Again, I'm glad they didn't remake shot for shot, or you know, that sort of thing. But I think a big disappointment is when Mulan decides that, you know, that overnight thing to become the warrior and to take your dad's place.
Yeah.
And you know, to disguise herself. In the animated film, that's so perfectly done and so dramatic and so amazing. And then in this film, all of a sudden she's dressed up, she's out the door, you know.
Yeah.
And you don't get any of the and she doesn't cut her hair. I mean, I think that we're all kind of upset about that.
And not only that, like, they replace instead of the whole short hair sequence, which is so powerful in a moment for the character to become invested in the character, along with reflection, where you know who this person is. Instead of that, their replacement for that is supposedly her moment when she whips out her hair in battle, which is, I still think, incredibly stupid. Why would on earth would you want your hair in your face in the middle of a big battle? That doesn't make any sense. So it's not like a very empowering moment if it's like nonsensical to me. And what did you think of this witch played by Gong Li?
Well, you know, I guess, I learned about Gong Li that she's kind of a big deal, in Asian cinema. So I guess, again, another cool thing that she was in the movie. I expected to hate it, having a bitch in the film, but actually, I thought her relationship with Mulan was one of the more interesting relationships of the film. That really is this witch who helps Mulan. Really to get the courage, right, to just be yourself, and rather than disguise yourself. At least that's how I interpreted it. What did you think?
Well, I think she was one of the stronger parts about the film. I wish that we kind of I wish that she was more than just kind of, she's sort of like a genie, kind of, there to sort of.
And she's very too one-dimensional too, in a way. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
We know nothing about her, really.
I feel like, I don't know, Disney doesn't really understand how to do empowered female characters. I think that they think that making them impervious to any kind of flaw, or that somehow is going to be empowering, that making them superheroes is going to be interesting, but it's not, unless you have like huge charisma, which is what I think the only one you can get away with that completely on is maybe Wonder Woman, because it's Wonder Woman, that's who the character is. But also they have such a charismatic actress in Gal Gadot, and I think they do give her still moments where she's suffering and struggling, and things aren't necessarily like easy for her, and she grows as a character, whereas when you see characters like Rey, when you see characters that like Captain Marvel, when you see characters like that, I think that in this Mulan, that are just sort of naturally powerful. I don't think it's as interesting as characters that, like the original Mulan, that becomes powerful through their hard work and through their dedication. And again, you could even say that with Mulan. With Wonder Woman, that she has all that training that she does to be ready, and even then, once it gets to the final moment in that movie, she's actually not ready. And she thinks she understands what Ares is, and she actually doesn't. It's way bigger than her when she thought. So I don't know. I feel like that they are just, they think this is what we want, but it's actually not what we want. At least not what I want. This idea of this perfect warrior, it's just kind of boring because she doesn't grow. She doesn't change, and like the people surrounding her weren't interesting enough to make that work, and the actress wasn't charismatic enough to make it work. That was, because I like the cast that they got as far as those side characters, but I didn't think they really gave them that much to do.
It's true. It's almost just like, oh my goodness, there's Donnie Yen, he's so cool, but you're right. He doesn't necessarily have a lot to do.
Yeah. And it just I left it feeling like this had so much potential, and that was frustrating to me. You could watch it and have a fine enough time at it, but they had such a great cast. They had great production values. They had all this stuff going for it. And so it's frustrating to me that it wasn't better. It's like you were close. Why did you make this decision to make her a chosen one? Why? It makes her whole ending way less interesting when she finally saved China, because that's what she was born to do. Of course she's going to save China.
Yeah. What did you think of that Phoenix? Imagery and symbolism and all that.
Yeah, it looked cool. It definitely was the one scene where it's kind of behind her that, I mean, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I have seen that shot of Game of Thrones with Daenerys with the dragon behind her. And so that was kind of interesting, and that they, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but yeah, I mean, people have talked about the fact that, yes, they made sure to have an all Chinese cast, but they had all white or non-Chinese, the directors and writers, and I think that is a problem. And it'll be very interesting to see how it does in China, because as we talked about, I think the original is not a big hit there. They don't love it,
and it's with all the controversy surrounding it. My guess is it's not going to do very well, but
Well, and I don't know if that's actually a controversy in China.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the actress speaking out in favor of the police and the state and everything is just the kind of thing that the state's gonna like. I mean, the Communist Party controls everything there, and so they might be thrilled by that.
Well, and then there's all this controversy about the filming location. One of the filming locations.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. So we'll see. And I also don't know how busy Chinese movie theaters are these days. Are they doing all these COVID regulations too, or are they wide open?
I don't know if they're on full capacity. I don't know that. I know that they have had a big hit in I think it's called the 800. I think is what it's called. They had a Chinese film there that did very well. And some really random movies have done quite well there, like Doolittle, which is crazy. So, I'm very curious to see if they'll see it as pandering or they'll see it as, exciting. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Do you think that, given all of this, that this will make them more hesitant on future live action remakes, or do you think it's just going to barrel ahead?
Well, I think they're going to make them all, till my dying days. But because they've got a bunch of the Little Mermaid is next, if I'm not mistaken.
Little Mermaid is next, and also Cruella.
That's right.
Which looks terrible.
And that's the problem, is that none of these are flopping, and they're making $1 billion. I mean, I couldn't believe that Aladdin made $1 billion in worldwide box office.
I know. Well, and
Aladdin was a horrible film, but it's just like, go watch the original.
The original way better.
Yeah, and
that's what I couldn't see the like paying the $30 for. I mean, I kind of like you, I was able to sort of group watch it.
Yeah.
But the $30 when you have the original for free available to watch, like what?
Yeah.
Why would you take this? Like, even if people like this, I don't know anybody that would say this is better than the original.
Yeah, than the original.
Yeah.
I think
unless you just hate animation.
Yeah. After having seen Tenet in the theater, not necessarily comparing the two, because we already talked about, but still, there were so few people in the theater.
Yeah,
I think that Disney made a good call to just release it finally. Put it on Disney Plus. Try this premium access business model. And if they can recoup some of their investment or what. I mean, I think Mulan. I think it probably would have earned $1 billion. Worldwide.
That's an it's an interesting thought, because I mean, there wasn't a whole lot else going on in March.
Yeah.
But
there was all the anticipation for it. At least people that I talked to who are excited about it, who don't have the chip on the shoulder like I do about these live action remakes. But we'll see. I guess we'll see.
So this is going to, I think, be a huge loss for them, though, because over $200 million budget, and I don't see it making. I don't think it'll make even close to that, and it has to make way more than that in order to really actually cover marketing and other things. And so I think this is going to be a big bomb for them, and it's too bad because they they did try at least to have the the all Chinese cast and everything, and you just hate to see a massive flop. But I think that Tenet is also going to be a pretty big flop. With I don't see it having the legs that they wanted. So I think that's why you saw today that Wonder Woman is moved, which sucks for us moviegoers. But I can't say I blame them when you have a movie over $200 million. And if the theater capacity is only at 30%, I mean, every single time that I've gone to the movies, I've had literally an entire section all to myself, well over 6 feet between me and anybody else.
Yeah, me too. It's been, I felt as safe as I could.
And as far as the Disney Plus thing, that they were saying that I think I read that it was about $33 million in purchases for Disney Plus. But I think that's about it. I mean, I feel like everybody who was going to pay that $30 has now done it.
It's not like it's going to kind of grow from week to week or whatever. Yeah. It's people like us, right, who are really into it or very, curious or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I hope it's going to be at least a modest success, but I'm with you. It's probably not going to.
I guess when you're losing $3.5 billion at the parks a quarter, you take what you can get. But
and I'm just glad that they released it, because in the fact of it's just not it's not just out there, that we're not just like, oh well, maybe someday we'll get to see Mulan.
Yeah.
Okay, we saw it, and I just feel like they're just gonna have to kind of lick their wounds, cut their losses, and move on to hopefully a brighter 2021. Well, and then for Disney, we'll see. They still have got Black Widow and Soul, and I'm hoping that those still get released in theaters. I mean, who knows? Those still could change too. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm nervous. I mean, I feel like it's almost better to have these sort of smaller films like, I'm going to see the Broken Hearts Gallery tonight. Something like Boards on Bathroom Walls, which I saw, and things, like these smaller films. Maybe that's the better way to go, and still do the classics until we can really support your $300 million tent poles.
Yeah.
200 million, whatever it is. But yeah, it's an interesting time, that's for sure. But basically, like what I said in my review, I said a lot of people were very tough on the recent Frozen 2, but in my opinion, at least they faced obstacles and had to make tough choices. The script might have been messy, but I'd rather see that than a flawless heroine saving the day. To each his or her own, I suppose. A lot of people will probably enjoy this Mulan, and I'm glad when they do. It's certainly not the worst of the live-action remakes, i.e. Alice in Wonderland, Lion King, or Maleficent, but it could have been great. Instead, it's very meh, and I don't think anyone will remember it in 2 years, let alone 22, like the original animated film. It's certainly not worth your $30, if you're asking me. That's my and I ended up giving it 2.5 stars out of 5.
I ended up giving it 4 stars just because I was so taken with all the martial arts stuff. I had such a blast with that. Mm-hmm. So I was so pleasantly surprised. I was almost going to give it a 3.5. I mean, it's just kind of in there, but it was all for me. It was all that it
the spectacle,
an unexpected fun tone for me.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm such a sucker for martial arts movies. So.
Yeah, are you a fan of sort of that wuxia style where they're flying and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah, see, I adore Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, So,
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of movies like Hero.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I loved last year a movie called Shadow that was by that same director who did Hero. And it was really cool. There were all these martial arts things done with these umbrellas made of blades.
Oh, cool.
And so yeah, I mean, it's kind of bloody as Shadow, but it was really good. I thought it was great. I saw it at the Tower.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's kind of our thoughts about the new Mulan. Where do you stand on it? Were you more of the 4 stars like Stanford, or did you enjoy the spectacle? Did you enjoy the heart in it? Or were you more like me? You found it kind of meh and disappointing? They turned her into the chosen one. Where were you at on it, or maybe somewhere in between? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. And so thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. This was fun for me to talk about. And so where can people find you and your content?
I'm on Twitter at Stanford Clark, and I have a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. And we are going to have Talking Disney next week, by the way, with our episode on The Little Mermaid, and with my friend Elisa from The Little Librarian. And I think it's one of our best. I just was listening to it today.
It was really fun.
I think it turned out really good. So look forward to that. And again, give us your thoughts and let us know what you think, and like and subscribe to this video. And thanks again. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. There we go.